how can they start getting over this pain, this loss in their lives?
Well, it's an enormous step to recognize that you have, we don't just deal with the current trigger. There's an underlying primal abandonment wound. It consists of primal abandonment, fear, and shame. And we all have it. It's human. It's the crux of the human condition. And it's an enormous step in the right direction to realize that we all have this and that you're human, that you have it too, and kind of tune into it. And then once you realize that you're dealing with a very deep core part of yourself, there's so much you can do. You don't think your way out of it, you do your way out of it. There are tools and exercises that really help to take this sort of these emotions, these primal feelings, and turn them into, positive behaviors.
Yeah. Yeah. I love
And
that.
that's the abandonment recovery program.
Gotcha. So like if someone is in the thick of, in my experience, abandonment, like when I go into my past, abandonment can be such a scary thing, or the thought, right? Catastrophizing of the future of like, oh, I don't want to be abandoned. What if someone abandons me? When someone is in that very fearful state of mind, whether they're being abandoned in the moment or not, like any thoughts on something they can apply from your work in those moments of fear?
Well, a very common phenomenon for people is that when they start to get into a new relationship, they feel so vulnerable because especially if they like the person, if they like the person and want the relationship, the vulnerability of the potential for being abandoned, rejected is so great that it creates all kinds of anxiety. And the other person becomes all important, and everything that they do, every little gesture is, oh, what does this mean? This is very universal. Even those of us who are very cool and don't show this kind of insecurity on the outside, getting into a new relationship is an insecure, scary thing for anybody. We're all vulnerable. But there is something we can do, which is that the person who's responsible for making you secure is not the other person, but it is you yourself. So when you realize that only you can be responsible for yourself emotionally, only you can make yourself really feel secure, that the other person could help, but it's your responsibility. Once you realize that, then you take care of you first. And of course, this is not by osmosis. There are exercises that you can do to make sure that you are putting your own abandoned inner child first.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the most important relationship of all the other relationships, is the relationship that you have with yourself. And the best time to work on that is when you're feeling insecure or abandoned, because that's when you really need to give yourself that love and acceptance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm so glad you just said all of that, because isn't that the truth in the world of so many of us? I think want that other person to fill that right hole, and it's not going to happen. It always comes back to us, right?
And it can sneak up on us. We can all of a sudden realize we're being focused on the other person, that other people have too much power in our lives. We're dependent on how they feel about us, and we can catch ourselves and say, oh, I've slipped into that again. I must now regroup and make that connection with my own inner child, and use an exercise that helps you do that.
Mm-hmm.